Hello viewers, at the outset I congratulate you for choosing NQ, the nutrition coefficient, which is a measure to check your knowledge in nutrition and allied aspects of processing, that is food processing and food packaging. This actually NQ is dealt to cover the various aspects of nutrition, food processing, food safety as well as food packaging. And many of you are already undergoing nutrition as a formal degree, or you have already completed and practicing nutrition and dietetics as a career. But in the recent changing in the government policies as well as with the growing awareness of the consumers, you have been witnessing that there are stringent food laws prevalent in the country. And apart from these laws, we also find that because of the growing awareness in the quality of food and nutrition, many of the people are now looking towards diversified opportunities, especially for nutritionists and dietitians. So, many of the companies are looking for people with nutrition background as well as specialized or additional knowledge in food safety and food packaging. Now, at this juncture, I am sure NQ would be you can bank upon the NQ to have an additional knowledge in food safety and packaging as well. Now, food packaging actually has majorly 4 basic functions. The first being the containment, which is actually the simple purpose of to contain the food materials in it. The second being the protection, though it looks very simple to protect the food materials, but this is the crux of the entire food packaging. And then you have communication, and much of the information that a consumer seeks or looks at your processed food, or the what we call the concerned consumer looks about the what calories that are being going into that food material upon consumption, how much calories or the specific micronutrients that like iron or any other micronutrient that is being displayed on the panel, that will be would be communicating. So, this is one of the important function. And apart from this, there is also the growing convenience feature being added to the function of food packaging. So, these are the major functions of food packaging. But as I told you, this protection function of the food packaging is one of the important one. There are different levels of food packaging, like primary package or the secondary package, and tertiary and quaternary packages. Now, if I want to just elaborate on the primary package, it is nothing but the packaging material which is in direct contact with the food material. Now, this actually is the important point of that you have to know about the importance of food packaging here, because a wholesome food material may turn into altogether hazard, or it could be a potential biohazard for many of the consumers if not properly sterilized material is in contact with the food material, or any other what we call danger could end up with that. So, what you need to know is about what are the different types of packaging materials that are used in food applications, and then what are those food processing techniques which are integrated with food packaging. Now, we all know that there are at least 5 to 8 different packaging materials that are commonly used: glass, metal, paper and paper based materials, wood, and also a huge range of bioplastics, synthetic plastics, and also the new generation materials like the bioplastics. Now, with the growing importance of the safety aspects, the processors as well as the nutritionists are looking at the selection of a right packaging material so that it does not harm the consumers or does not deteriorate the quality of the food. Now, in this aspect, as I told, the different packaging materials like glass or any others, nearly about 40% of the packaging materials that we are right now using are basically plastics in nature, and plastics are not what we call pure materials. Many of the plastics do contain so many additives, and this is an important concern for the consumers as well as the food process, because the migration of those additives that are added into the plastics tend to migrate into the food material, and There are stringent laws where the migration limits are specified, and the food processor has to stick to those norms and rules. Now, at this point, as a nutritionist, we should be aware of what are those chemicals and additives that are migrating into the food materials and that are deteriorating the quality of the food materials, and altogether that is a point of interest that which is actually not much elaborately covered in your regular or formal degree programs. And here at NQ you can bank upon this additional knowledge. I am sure many of these points are covered in this. And when we talk about food packaging as such, now the food processing, the modern food processing doesn't end up without good food packaging, and safe food can also be manufactured or can be distributed to the consumers in very good processing technologies like aseptic processing technology, what we can bank upon. Aseptic processing technology is nothing but it's a food processing operation where we try to integrate the sterile food with sterile packaging material in a sterile environment. Now, that makes us clear that the food material doesn't contain any pathogenic or food spoilage organisms. The packaging, the food itself doesn't contain any pathogenic organisms or food spoilage organisms, and the environment where we are trying to pack these materials and pack these food materials in sterile packaging materials is also sterile in nature. So, the safety aspects of the food is completely covered. But we need to actually know about what are those packaging materials that goes into aseptic processing technology. Basically, as I have told in the beginning, that plastics are one of the important and nearly majorly dominating the food packaging industry. And these aseptic packaging systems, as an example, we can give the Tetra Pak milk carton, which is commonly found in the supermarkets or reaching the rural markets also as of now. So, these aseptically processed paper-based cartons you can find, they are mostly recycled, and the only point of contact with the food material is the inside packaging material, that is the plastic which is in contact with the milk or maybe juice, etc. So, these packaging materials are sterilized with various kind of sterilizing agents like heat or chemicals, but industrially mostly hydrogen peroxide is commonly used to sterilize the packaging material, and the residual hydrogen peroxide can anytime be get ridden off by just exposing it to slightly higher temperatures. So, that way it is always a safe material for the safe food. Now, there are similar to aseptic processing technologies other food processing and techniques, but these all additional knowledge which are not usually carried out or covered in the formal education programs will be covered in NQ, and I am sure you can have you can bank upon these additional knowledge and find new opportunities, and I wish you a successful career ahead.